nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks. They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping.
The damage control saga continues over at the Walt Disney Company, and at this point, it's becoming downright embarrassing. We are just days away from the release of their disaster in the making, the Snow White remake, and all signs point to it being a catastrophic box office failure. And let's be real, this isn't just because of Rachel Zegler's relentless ability to alienate literally everyone with a pulse. No, this failure is a multi-layered disaster, stemming from Disney's complete butchering of the source material, their arrogant detachment from their audience, and of course, their ridiculous obsession with forcing ideology over storytelling. Now, let's talk about the mess that is their premier strategy, or should I say the desperate attempt to minimize further PR damage. Disney has already scrapped the UK premiere, which was our first major hint that they knew this film was DOA. But now even the US premiere is being carefully controlled like some kind of covert military operation. Questions about Rachel Zegler? Off limits. Questions about Gal Gadot? Restricted. Questions about their dynamic as actresses? Forget it. This event is going to be as tightly sealed as possible to prevent yet another PR meltdown. It's a last-ditch effort to salvage what little credibility Disney has left. And honestly, it's hilarious to watch them scramble. Speaking of scrambling, let's talk about Bob Iger, the man who somehow managed to make Disney even worse after his grand return. If you recall, he went into full-blown damage control mode early last year.
It's left-wing policies hurt shareholders. In new SEC filing, Disney is now admitting that it's been slapped by its own customers for its far-left social and political agenda.
Trying to plug the holes in his sinking ship. Well, surprise, surprise, he's at it again, making desperate statements in a feeble attempt to shift the blame away from Disney's own terrible decisions. So what does he do? He releases a statement trying to gaslight the public into thinking that the backlash against Snow White is just undeserved opinionated noise.
They say, hey, it's done more, it's exceeded the box office tracking. That's generally actually what happens. If you go back and look at a lot of movies, you'll see this. This is abysmal if this is the case. Like, actually abysmal. And this movie is set to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Not a stretch. We can cover it all because we've got the budget, because they filmed it in the UK.
Yes, because the millions of people calling out Disney's nonsense are just making it all up, right? He then has the audacity to say that the criticism of the film is inflammatory and unwelcomed. Newsflash, Bob. Criticism is only inflammatory when you're completely incapable of handling the truth. And here's the best part. He claims that Disney doesn't have an agenda. Yes, really. He straight up says, with our newest film, Snow White, we hold no agenda here, nor do we engage in any form of a culture war. I mean, do they think we're stupid? We've all seen what Disney has been doing for the past several years. We've seen them prioritize activism over actual storytelling, and Snow White is just another glaring example of that. But of course, Iger takes it a step further and basically implies that anyone who criticizes Disney is part of some political agenda, because according to him, the only people who have a problem with this movie are extremists with some hidden agenda, definitely not the regular moviegoers who just wanted a faithful adaptation. But wait, there's more. Iger actually admits that they broke from the source material. In his words, our decision of breaking from source material was much needed in order to create an unexpected story. Translation: we trashed everything people loved about Snow White because we think we're smarter than our audience. You can't make this stuff up. This is the exact kind of arrogance that has led to Disney's downfall. They refuse to respect the material that made them successful in the first place, and then they're shocked when people reject their inferior, agenda-driven versions. And let's not forget, Disney has already pulled the same stunt with Star Wars and the MCU. They've spent the last several years gutting beloved franchises, replacing strong narratives with hollow activism, and now they're trying to course correct because they finally realized they're bleeding customers by the millions. Disney Plus subscribers are plummeting, their movies are flopping left and right, and yet they still refuse to take responsibility.